everyone, this is Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video is lots and lots of fun. This is my silly, spooky holiday hat pattern, and you can make these 6 hats and lots of other ones from this one pattern. Elf hat, gingerbread hat, a Santa hat, a ghost hat, candy corn hat, and a pumpkin hat, all off this one pattern. And the other really fun thing is the pattern is written in 3 sizes: child, youth, and adult. Now you can find this pattern on my blog, and I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. For the demonstration, I'm going to be making a pumpkin hat, and I'm going to be using this orange and this green to make the pumpkin, and the black I'm going to do just the basic eyes and smile so you can see how it's done. Now remember, you're going to need to use 2 strands working at the same time. So what I do is I take a strand from this end and a strand from the outside, and I hold them together and work them this way. This is Vanna's Choice in Tangerine, and I'm going to be using this green just for the top for the stem, and this is, I love this yarn, and I think it's called lime green. It's an older one that I had on hand, and I wanted it to be just a little bit lighter so it was easy to see. I'm going to be adding black eyes and a smile in black, but it's going to be hard to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate it in the green, and then I'll sew it on in the black so that you can see what I'm doing and how that's going to work. And as I do this, I'm going to be making it in the adult size, but I'm also going to give you instructions for the youth and child size so you know how to do those as well. We're going to be stitching today with our 9mm crochet hook. It's an N9mm crochet hook, nice chunky one. You're going to need a needle with a nice big eye because we're doing 2 strands, and of course you're going to need those scissors. All right, all 3 of the hats begin the same. We're going to start with a slip knot. We're going to chain 5. We're going to join that into a circle. And also, all 3 sizes, you're using 2 strands of worsted weight number 4 yarn. All right, so there's my circle. Put our hook through, pull up a loop, and chain 3. Now the top of the hat is a little bit of a point, and so what we're going to be doing is the chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, and now we're going to double crochet 5 double crochets right in that circle, and that's going to give us a total of 6 double crochets. And that, because it's so tight and so small, that's what's going to give us that little bit of a point. And I'm starting with the green because I'm using the top of the hat to look like the pumpkin hat has a stem. Now remember, you need to choose the colors that you want for whichever hat you've decided to make. There we go. Let's see. Here's my chain 3. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need to do 1 more. Alrighty. Let me pull some more yarn out here. There we go. Now I'm going to join to the top of my chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. Oops, there we go. All right, I'm going to gently pull on that string to close that hole. We'll weave that in later and then pop that out. So there's the top of my hat. For row 2, we want to turn these 6 double crochets into 10. And the way we'll do that is our chain 3 counts as 1, and we'll put a double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. We'll place 1 double crochet in the next stitch. In these next 2 double crochets, we're going to place 2 double crochets in each one. So there's 2 in that one. And then we'll place 2 double crochets in the next one. More yarn out there. All right, so we have 2 more double crochets left. We're going to place 1 double crochet in the next, and then we'll end with 2 double crochets in our last double crochet. 1 and 2. And by doing that, we've turned these 6 double crochets into 10. Here's our chain 3, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll join to the top of our chain 3. And normally, if you're not changing colors, you'll go ahead and chain 3. But when you're changing colors, you're going to want to cut your yarn and do your color change and then do your chain 3. All right, let's do our color change. We're going to bring our orange in because I just wanted the green on the top 2 so it looks like a pumpkin stem. We'll come back and weave these in later. So I'm just going to tuck them up in there out of the way, and then we'll do our chain 3. All right, now for row number 3, we're going to place 1 double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. And again, we're still working with 2 strands of yarn, worsted weight number 4. And then we're going to place 2 double crochets in each of the 10, and that will take us to 20 double crochets. So 2 double crochets in each of the 10 double crochets around. Now our first chain 3 counted as our first double crochet, and then we stitched in the same stitch as our chain, and then I placed 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and I'll do that all the way around. 2 double crochets in each double crochet around. And I think you can already see how quickly this hat is going to work up. And again, no matter what size you're doing, these first few rows are the same, and I'll tell you when it changes for the child and the youth size. All right, 2 more stitches. Now we're going to join to the top of our chain 3. Whoops. When you're working with 2 strands, you got to make sure you don't lose one. That's why you got to hold them together. There we go. There's my slip stitch and chain 3. And that's how row number 3 looks. And we started with 6, we went to 10, and now we have 20 double crochets. For row number 4, our chain 3 counts is our first double crochet, and we're going to double crochet in that same stitch as our chain 3. Then we're going to place 1 double crochet in the next double crochet, and then we'll place 2 double crochets in the next. There we go. Through all those strings, when you're working with 2, you got to pay attention. You got to keep them together and make sure one doesn't get loopy or one doesn't get tight. All right, so what we're doing for row number 4 is we're stitching 1 double crochet in the next and 2 in the next. That's 1 and 2 all the way around, and we're going to go from having 20 double crochets to having 30. One double crochet in the next and 2 double crochets in the next double crochet, stitching all the way around. And again, we'll join to the top of our chain 3. 1 and 2 all the way around. I've completed row 4, and at the end of row 4 you're going to have 30 double crochets. And if you're making the child size that fits about a 16 to 17 inch head, you're going to want to skip to R7. All right, now for row 5 you're going to do the similar. You're going to place a double crochet in the same stitch as the chain 3, but we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 2 double crochets, and then stitch 2 double crochets together. And this is going to take us from 30 double crochets to 40 double crochets. So we'll be stitching 1 double crochet in the next 2, and then 2 double crochets together, working all the way around. And then we'll join to the top of our chain 3 and chain 3 again. Now remember, if you're doing the child size, after row 4 you need to skip to row 7. There we go. And I'm going to continue here with R5, stitching 2 double crochets together in 1 stitch, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next, working all the way around this row. I've completed row 5, and if you're making the youth size, you need to skip to R7. For the adult size, we're going to do 1 more row of increase stitches. So our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, and we'll double crochet in the same stitch as the chain 3, and then we'll stitch 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. And then we'll stitch 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And this is the way that row 6 works, and you're only doing row 6 if you're making the adult size. 1 double crochet in the next 3 double crochets, and then 2 double crochets in the next double crochet. So we're doing 3 and 2. And again, you're only doing row 6 if you're doing the adult size. Now remember, we went up through row 4 for the child size, up through row 5 for the youth size, and up through row 6 for the adult size. So I'm going to continue around, stitching 1 double crochet in the next 3 double crochets, and then I'll stitch 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And this is going to take me to 50 double crochets. I've completed row 6, and this brings us to row 7. Now, all three sizes, child, youth, and adult, on row 7, we stitch the same, and it's 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets around. On row 4, for the child size, you have 30 double crochets. For the youth size, you have 40 double crochets. For the adult size, on row 6, you have 50 double crochets. We're stitching 1 double crochet in each stitch around, and so your stitch count from here on out is going to remain the same. So for row 7, 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. So I have completed row 7. For the child size, you're going to repeat row 7 for 2 more rows. For the youth size, you're going to repeat row 7 for 3 more rows. And for the adult size, you're going to repeat row 7 for 4 more rows. And of course, row 7 is just 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, join to the top of our chain 3 and chain 3. So just to repeat, for the child size, repeat 2 more times. For the youth size, repeat 3 more times. And for the adult size, repeat 4 more times. Now those are the way that the pattern is written. If you have a longer head or shorter head, you can adjust that. But also remember, we're going to be putting a trim on the bottom of the hat that's going to take up about 2 inches, all right, because it's going to be about 2 rows. So keep that in mind when you're adjusting the amount of rows that you add to your hat. So I'm going to go ahead and add my 4 rows of 1 double crochet in each double crochet around because I'm making the adult size hat, and then I'll show you how to add the trim. So I've done my additional 4 rows, and after you've completed the amount of repeats for row 7 needed for your size, we're going to do the trim. And the trim is basically a double crochet, a front post double crochet, repeat. So here's our chain 3 that counts as our first double crochet. To do a front post double crochet, yarn over, and we're going to go around the post of the stitch and stitch our double crochet. Then in the next stitch, we just stitch a regular double crochet. Then the next stitch, we're going to go around the post, and we're going to, whoops, there we go, and we're going to do every other stitch. Front post, regular double crochet, front post, regular double crochet, every other stitch. There we go. And see how that makes a nice trim? We'll repeat this all the way around and then join to the top of our chain 3. Double crochet in the next stitch and front post double crochet in the next. And this is for all 3 sizes. I completed this row of front post and double crochet stitches, And the last row is the last row of our trim for our hat, and we're just going to repeat what we just did. So our chain 3 counts is our first double crochet, and then we're going to stitch our front post right around the front post from the previous row. Then we'll double crochet in the next stitch, and then front post in the front post. And this is just really going to make it stand out and look really nice, and just makes a really nice trim on your hat. Now, if you're doing the infant or youth size and you think that's too long of a trim, you can not do that last row. It's kind of up to you what you prefer for your hat. I like the nice thick trim. I think it just adds a nice touch to the bottom of the hat. So, front post double crochet in the front post, and then a double crochet in the regular double crochet, working all the way around the hat, and then again we'll join at the chain 3, and then we'll tie off and weave in our end. I completed that last row. I'm going to tie off my yarn, pull it to the back, and weave that in. Now I've got a nice big needle that both those pieces of yarn can go through, and I'm just going to go right up in that stitch. There we go. Make sure, even in this thick yarn, that you're trying to go through stitches and yarn fibers so that it doesn't come undone. There we go. Give it a little pull and snip. So I've already attached one of the black eyes onto the pumpkin, and I've got another one ready to go, but black is really hard to see. And so I'm going to show you how to make that simple, silly eye with the green yarn so that you can see how to do that. We're going to begin with the slip knot, and we're going to chain 4. The first 3 chains will count as 1 double crochet, and then we're going to stitch 9 double crochets in the 4th chain from the hook. And it's going to be tight, but it's okay. We're going to get all of them in there. There we go. A bit more yarn there. And don't worry if you get a little bit of a hole in the center. I'm going to show you how to close that up as well. Now this is just the simple round eye. If you're looking for other features, there are tons that you can find, and I've got several also. All right, let's see how many we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So you got 10 double crochets counting your chain 3. You'll join to the top of your chain 3 with a slip stitch. You'll cut your yarn, and you're going to need about 18 inches to sew it on. And then let me grab that needle. To close up that hole, you'll just thread the tail onto your needle. There we go. And you'll just go around these stitches and gently pull on that, and that'll close that up. You're just gathering that closed. And that also weaves the end in for you. And I usually go around. Lost one of my stitches there. And then go ahead and weave that in. And then you've got a nice big eye for your pumpkin. All right, let me move this other one back over here. And I've already attached one, and I'm going to attach the second one. Now, you can do them even or you can do them uneven. It doesn't matter. Whatever kind of look you want your pumpkin to have. I kind of like to make mine uneven. Then I can make a silly smile that goes with it. I kind of prefer my pumpkin face to be a little bit silly opposed to scary. And that's up to you. You can make it look like anything that you want. And you can see I just go around. I hold it flat because I want it to be flat. And one thing to keep in mind when you're sewing on pieces to a hat that's going to need to stretch a little bit, make sure you have just a little bit of give in it and it's not too tight. Or when they put the hat on and those eyes start stretching, or the features, whichever, type features you're putting on, don't look funny because they're stretched out of whack. Alrighty. Alright, so we'll just go around the eye until we run out of yarn. There we go. And one other thing I do is I go down under, I come up the center of the eye, and I just give it a couple of stitches just to make sure that it's going to stay put where I want it to stay put. Alright, let's go underneath. Looks kind of like that, and then we just weave those in until we're happy that it's going to stay put. Alright. That's how you do the eyes. Now, you can find all different shaped eyes on the internet, Pinterest and Ravelry. I'm just showing you just the basic ones that I do. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you is how to just add a super cute and silly smile. And I am again going to use 2 strands of yarn. And so what I'm going to do, yarn out of the way, is thread this on my needle. And you're going to need, I'm going to say about 18 inches, and sometimes I run out, and so I have to add some more, and that's normal. Don't worry about it if that happens. And you just need to decide what kind of smile that you want. And so I'm just going to come up, and one thing to remember is try to put your needle through stitches, not through the holes in between, because that's going to help it stay put. So I'm just going to make the little line for the smile. I'm going to bring this up so you can see that better. And I'm pretty much just going to freehand going across. Just make sure your strings are nice and even. And again, don't do it so tightly that it doesn't have any stretch. You want to make sure you get a little stretch in there. And I'm going to make it come up because that eye is a little bit higher than the other one. So I want my smile to kind of come up in sort of a silly way. Kind of punched up there a little. Alrighty, I'm going to go right up there. Bring it back over so you can see. I'm just going to come up just a little higher. And I did do this with double strands because I want it to be nice and thick. There we go. And now my pumpkin has a smile. And we'll just weave those in the back. And if you feel comfortable tying a knot, you can do that. I do suggest putting a little fray check on it if you're going to tie a knot. There we go. Get those finished weaving in those later. So whether you're making a pumpkin hat, a ghost hat, an elf hat, a candy corn hat, a gingerbread hat, or a Santa hat, you can make them all off this one pattern, and just by changing the colors and the details come up with lots of different hats.